Welcome to Omhint. My name is Vino Nityananda.
My name is Pandit Jagannath Cassidy.
Good. So, Pandit, many people have no idea what a Panchangam is. A
Right.
Panchangam. So please, can you tell us about that?
Yeah, sure, I'd love to. So Panchangam is it's a tool. I've seen it translated as Almanac.
Almanac. Oh,
I've seen it translated as Almanac.
Yes.
What it literally means is Panch is 5 and Angam is limbs.
5 limbs.
So it's 5 limbs. So people use it. I'll explain what the 5 limbs are. So the first one is the Vara, right? That's the day.
The day.
So the day, like Monday, Tuesday,
So
Wednesday.
each day has its effect.
Yeah, each day has an effect.
Okay.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday,
yeah.
like that. And so the name should give you a little bit of a hint. Sunday is for the sun, Saturday is for Saturn. If you know Latin languages,
Right.
like Spanish or French or anything like that, it's quite obvious.
Right.
Monday's for the moon,
Right.
Tuesday's for Mars,
Right.
Martias,
Yes.
right?
Martias.
Yeah. Wednesday is for Mercury, the Mercurius.
Right.
And Thursday is for Jupiter.
Yeah.
Friday is for Venus.
Yeah. And Jupiter is to be known as Thor.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
So
Thor. Well, yeah, it's like he's in parallelism to Indra.
Right.
Because he's thunderbolts in heaven. And
Right.
So Indra is associated oftentimes with Jupiter.
Okay.
Because Brahaspati, who is the lord of Jupiter, is the guru for Indra. So that's why there's a connection there.
Because in Gujarati they say Guruvar.
Guruvar, yeah, yeah.
Guru's Day.
Yeah, Guru's Day. And then, of course, in
Indian...
Indian...
He's the guru for Indra.
Yeah.
He's Indra's guru.
Indra's guru, yeah. Guru for the...
For everybody.
Guru for the world, really. It's the 3 worlds, because Indra's the king of the 3 worlds, so his guru is like the guru for
everybody.
Guru for everybody.
Right.
And so... Yeah, also Indian languages, right? Chandravar, all those days are...
You can clearly see the connection with the day and a planet or something.
Yeah. So each day has a planetary influence on it,
right?
Which is associated...
Friday is Venus.
Yeah, Friday is Venus. Saturday is Saturn.
And then
Sunday is the sun.
Right.
And for that reason, some people say... There's certain people that say that Sunday's the first day. Because that's the center,
right?
And then Saturday should be the last day because it's the far out.
Okay.
But it doesn't really make any sense anyway. It's a concept, but some people say that. So those are the 7 days, and it represents the 7 planets.
That's one of the limbs.
That's one of the limbs. What's one of the angas?
Okay.
So then the other anga is the tithi.
Oh.
So there's the tithi.
What does the tithi mean?
So tithi is the lunar phase.
Oh, it's like a lunar mansion.
It's lunar mansion's the nakshatra.
It's a nakshatra.
So lunar phase is the growth of the moon.
Oh.
So
the phase of the moon.
The phase.
Right.
So like, for example, the new moon is one of them. The new moon, then there's the first day of the new moon, right? The first day after the new moon. Then there's the second, there's Pratipat. Right. Or there's different names for it.
Yeah.
But I always heard it called that Pratipada, and then there's Dvitiya, Tritiya, Chaturthi,
so the moon
Panchami.
Is growing at that time.
The moon is growing.
From a new moon, which is like a no moon,
to
it starts
to grow. That's called the Gaurapaksha.
Right. It's called Gaurapaksha because
that's
it's
the
bright fortnight.
Bright fortnight.
Bright fortnight.
And then it grows until it's a full moon.
Right.
And then
sometimes also called Shukla Paksha. Right?
Yeah, Shukla Paksha. Then they call it
because it's bright.
Bright, yeah. They call it Gaura Paksha or Shukla Paksha.
Right, that's right.
And then then it starts to shrink.
Starts waning.
Then it starts to wane. So that's called Krishna Paksha because it's the dark. It's getting darker.
Right.
And it's the same again. So the first day after the new moon is called Pratipad of the Krishna Paksha.
Right.
So then it starts to shrink until it gets to the new moon again. That's how it grows. That's one way. Yeah, that's the cycle. That's the cycle of the moon. Now, different civilizations, the ancient Romans, for example, believed that their whole calendar system was based on the moon, actually. And they believed that the month started on the new moon.
Oh, wow.
And their middle of the month was the full moon.
Right.
Because, it starts as a baby and then it grows and then it gets old.
Yeah.
So that's why they would have
cycle.
They'd have a cycle like that, and they had 3 different representations of a goddess, which is the maiden, the mother, and the crone. So it's like a young lady like a mother with a big belly, like the moon.
Right.
And then the crone is the older woman. So that was the three representations. Similar to how we have Durga,
Right.
Parvati, and Kalima.
Right.
So it's very similar. If you look at these different things, and even the Roman goddess ride on a lion, that represents that phase. Yeah.
There you go.
So it's yeah.
You see the similarities.
Yeah, it's
amazing how similar they are.
Yeah. There's a lot of cultures have.
They come from an original culture that is the same culture. It's just that all these cultures came out of the same culture. So the similarity is obviously going to be there.
Yeah. So this is the phases of the moon. So different ones have different representations. Each phase of the moon has an individual deity which rules over it.
Wow.
And the thing is that, usually they use deities and planets as shorthand to represent certain features.
I see.
So when they say that a planet is ruled over by a certain tithi is ruled over by Durga, then that means there's a certain energy goes into it, which is represented by Durga Devi.
Right.
So there's a little bit of fighting. There's some fighting bad things energy in that, because Durga fought against the Mahishasasura, right? And so they got that energy.
Right.
One of them is ruled over by the sun god, so it's very good for health and healing, that.
Right.
One of them is ruled over by the moon. So there's different ones have different deities.
Right.
So when you understand, that's why it's so important for people to read the different stories, the different leelas, and you understand the meaning behind the symbolism of the deity that rules over it. Like that's...
You should tell that one.
Yes, yeah, no, that's where we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that.
Nice.
This is one of the most important things. I don't think I would be so good at astrology if I didn't read the whole Mahabharata first, and the 4 Vedas, and the Puranas.
Right.
It makes it so you know what they're trying to say when they say it's this tithi. There's a deity associated with the tithi. There's a deity associated with the day. There's a deity associated with the next one, which is nakshatra.
Right. That's the lunar mansion.
Yes, the lunar mansion. Right. So all of these have deities associated with them. So when you know the different leelas of these deities, these are all shorthand. It's not that some people make the error of saying that the stories are symbology, but some people make and it doesn't have any value. Right. Other people make the thing of saying, oh, well, this is a history, but they don't see the value of the symbology.
Right.
It has both.
Both, yeah.
It has both. And if you know how to read the symbology, you can use that and then decode it and put it in the practical application in the real world of how the astrology works.
Right.
Because they're using these deities as symbols to try and explain the energy which is prevalent in the world at that time.
Right.
So that's how it all kind of works.
Yeah.
So then there's the nakshatras. There's 27 of those.
Yes.
And nakshatras are they're described as being the 27 wives of the moon god.
And they're the lunar mansions.
They're the lunar mansions.
Right.
The moon travels through them one day. He spends one day with each.
Okay.
They're supposed to all be the daughters of Prajapati Daksha.
Oh, Prajapati Daksha. Wow.
And he loved Rohini the most.
Oh, yes.
So he used to stay only with Rohini.
Oh, really?
Yes. Krishna was born under Rohini.
Yeah.
He used to spend all his time only with Rohini.
Because Krishna is considered of the moon dynasty.
Yeah.
That's why,
It's the best moon. And of all the moons, it's the best.
Yes.
So he used to spend all his time with Rohini only.
Yes.
And Anuradha, who's the opposite one, and she's it was Jeshta. She's the eldest.
I see.
And biggest too.
Right.
Whatever that happens to mean.
Yeah.
But she was angry. She's jealous, and that's a very Scorpio nature. You see how this story fits in?
Right.
Because this is in Scorpio, the strongest part of Scorpio.
So these are actually, like you said, the word leelas. Leelas means pastimes or stories or history where some event happened, and in that event we get to see not just the symbology and the history, but how we can apply it in our lives and make our lives better off.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So Jeshta got jealous, which is a Scorpio trait. And people with Scorpio, they get jealous.
Right.
People who have some planet in Scorpio, they can get very jealous.
Right.
So the thing is that, and it's also a warning. You got if somebody has a lot of Scorpio, you got to be careful, man. You don't want to show off in front of them. You don't want to reveal your deck. Like if you have more money than them, they get mad. Yeah. They want to knock you down. I mean, they have useful parts.
Of course.
But these are just
everybody
things.
has some pros.
Oh,
some cons.
yeah. But it's just personality traits, and it's you can learn.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So got jealous. She would complain to her father.
Right.
And she said, "Oh, he only spends time with one of us." So then Daksha got mad. So he cursed the moon. He'd get tuberculosis.
Oh, really?
So he got sick. So when he isn't like, the moon planet is actually a planet that he lives on.
Right.
But it's his energy too. The Shakti comes from him.
Right.
So what happens, he started to get sick, so the moon planet started to shrink. So he was scared, you know? So he went to Udupi, which is this little town in South India.
Right.
And he prayed to, there's a Shiva there, Chandramaleshwar.
Chandramaleshwar.
Yeah. So he prayed to this deity, and and the moon was shrinking. It almost got gone completely.
Right.
And he prayed to Shiva, and Shiva came and he said, "I'll cure you.
Right.
But to keep you humble, after it shrinks, then it'll grow, but when it's full again, it'll shrink again."
To remind you. Be nice to all your girls, to all the mansions.
So the moon, he put that crown of the moon in Shiva's head.
Oh, yes.
And Vishnu created a new moon.
Oh, wow.
Because the original moon that came out of when they mixed the ocean is the one that's on Shiva's head.
Right, yes.
But Vishnu made a new moon, and that's the one that we got.
Ah, nice.
This is all in the Puranas.
Thank you, Vishnu.
Yeah. These stories are all in the Puranas. That's why there's a moon in the sky and there's a moon on Shiva's head.
Yes.
So these are all these stories. You read the Puranas, it's all in there.
Right.
So then what happened was, so these are the different nakshatras. These are the way that so there's 27 of them. So as the moon travels,
Right.
some of them, they're all useful for different things.
Right.
And they all represent different parts and factors of life.
I see.
There's ones that are very loving, caring, nurturing.
Right.
There's ones that are extremely intense,
Right.
that are very dangerous.
Right.
There's ones that are very small-minded, and you get the whole gamut of what's out there in the universe.
Wonderful.
And sometimes people complain. They're like, "Oh, this nakshatra is good for bad things." I'm like, "Well, that's the world, man." Everybody gets a chance. You know, the Vedas is very liberal.
Right. And actually, the bad things are also an opportunity to good things.
Right, exactly.
In every challenge, there is opportunity.
Oh, yeah. Well, see, this is the small-minded thinking.
Right.
They're looking at this and they're not understanding
Yes.
from the big picture.
The bigger picture.
They say, this is bad, this is good.
Yeah.
It's a very small-minded view.
Yes.
So then after that is the Karanas.
The Karanas are the fourth.
Oh, the yoga.
The yogas.
After that's the yogas.
That's the fourth.
Yeah, it's the fourth limb.
Okay.
It's the yoga. So yoga, basically, the yoga is a measure. So the sun is here. It moves as well, but let's say the sun is in Cancer. And the moon is here, then it creates a certain distance from the
A certain
sun.
separation from each
Yeah.
other. Yes.
And it moves here, it's a different one. It's a different one. It's a different one. Different one. Different one. Different. And then, boop.
Nice.
Like that.
I see.
That's how. So
the yoga is the
yoga is the distance.
Right.
There's
It's
27.
relative-
Yeah. There's
relative
27
distance.
yogas
Right.
because there's 27 nakshatras.
Ah, yes.
And so each day it travels, it creates a different separation.
Right.
So that's how it works.
And sometimes it gets nearer, sometimes it gets further apart.
Yeah. And so these create different effects.
I understand.
So that's how the yogas work.
Wonderful.
And then the karana is a division within a tithi.
Within the titi, there's a
Yeah,
division.
it's called a half tithi occasionally.
half titi.
Yeah.
It's called a karana.
So you usually get 2 karanas in one day.
in every titi.
Yeah, in every tithi there's 2 karanas.
Karanas.
And what this is a further declination. Because even though you can have the vara, the tithi, the vara, you have the tithi, you have the nakshatra and the yoga, and there's one final one. It says good or bad, yay or nay.
Little nuance.
Little nuance.
Wow.
So that's how you find a good auspicious time.
Yes.
Now this science was the first form of astrology as far as I can tell.
Wow.
because this was used primarily, and it's most useful for finding times for things.
Right. And it's a good time to conceive, good time to start a business, good time to, and so
it has practical application for every phase
of life.
Part of life.
Yes.
There's you can find lists with 300 different kinds of things that you can do based on these.
Best time for 300 different things.
300 different things.
Like that. It's actually more, but they...
but that's, I mean, that's 300
is a vast, quite a lot.
Vast variety, So there's every conceivable kind of marriages, education, business. so many, business, especially business. It's very useful for business. Right. I've helped people, like hundreds of people, like start this at this time and do it. It gives a lot of power, because when you start something, it's like a snowball rolling down a hill, and it starts to roll, right? And then when it does its thing, it bigger and bigger. It becomes bigger and bigger
as it goes.
But the hill is important. If you got a mud mixed with the snow, then when the snowball gets to the bottom of the hill, it's going to look totally different than if it's nice and clean. And so you want
all snow.
All
white.
So there's different. So that's the timing affects the terrain, let's say, of the snowball that's rolling down the hill, right? So this is how. It's why it's important to find when you want to do things. So primarily, this was first used when people did yajna. I see. You know what I mean? They wanted to know, well, when's a good time for us to summon deities. So the Rig Veda is all about that. The Yajur Veda describes how to make an area.
A mandala.
Yeah, a mandala, but how to make a yajna pit. How to make several yajna pits. Because you go to this one, what it does, one represents the earth. One is Bu. One is Bu, one is border, and one is Swa. So that's the different levels of heaven, right? And
so the middle planet system, the lower planet, and the high planet.
They had all the different realms. And then they would set up a special altar, and in those days, there's mantras. You summon the deities. In Mahara Loka, which is described in the Puranas, it's where all the Prajapatis live. When they do the Agnihotras, the deities come and accept. So this is the way it used to be in old times. They would summon the deities, and so they would want to know, okay, well, when we're going to do this, we want to do this exactly right, so we can do this in this proper way and do a whole kind of... So they needed to find a very scientific way and using the energies to create certain effects. It was kind of like modern scientists, how they fiddle around with material nature and they're trying to create a certain effect, so they mix this chemical and that chemical and then boom, you got some kind of technology. In a similar way, they used to do that, but with the subtle energies of the planets and different things like that. There's actually a book called the Picatrix, which is from the Middle Ages, and it's actually from the Middle East, and it was brought over to Spain and translated, and it's filled with this kind of stuff. How to use the planets to do this and that, and do different kinds of things, and so this is a technology that got kind of like it didn't go away.
It's subtle technology.
It's subtle technology.
Both of them are necessary: the subtle technology and the gross technology. Just like in the body, there's a gross body made of earth, water, fire, and ether. But then there's a subtle body made of mind, intelligence, and false ego. In some ways, the subtle body is even more powerful, way more powerful than the material body, the gross body. So similarly, subtle knowledge, subtle sciences are way more powerful than the gross sciences. And so this is something the world will pick up on again. And as a result, the world will do great, much greater than it's doing now.
So this is the thing that's important. So then astrology, as in the different kinds of ways that people use astrology, like signs and different things like that, it's related. This was the more earlier form. This is what when the people say Jyotish in the Vedas, this is what they usually mean. But then other things were added, like Bhrigu Muni. This is before. See, this is what they used to do before all that. Then you have Bhrigu, you have Vaishampayana, and all these different Parasara, all these different people. They had knowledge of astrology as well. And so then it kind of expanded the canon or the knowledge or the way of doing it. In Narada Purana, there's big sections. So this is the thing. when you remember a few years ago they had this big super eclipse, you know,
Yes, yes.
and if I had $1 for every website that said it's the end of the world, you know, I'd be a millionaire, right? I told people, just, you don't, you know, it's like, oh, look at this planet and that planet. It's all clickbait, you know, nonsense and trying to scare people. And, you know, it's, I was like, just look at the Panchangam, dude. That's all you got to do.
Right.
That's all you got to do is look at the Panchangam.
Because it brings everything together.
And I predicted, I said, maybe there'll be some weather. And then there's a hurricane, like, because certain things they caused it.
Right.
But that's where you look.
Right.
Storm in Maga, so K2 and it was in Maga, and so it means the cloud. So then it makes weather, and you know that's how it works.
Wonderful.
But you know the thing is that people, they just don't understand. You know, oh, it's scary, scary. What you want to do when you predict is you actually look at the Panchangam.
Right.
And you have to have it's very nuanced.
Right.
And this is the other thing. So many people, you get the results of the planets you use when you do something.
Right.
And so many people are just like into the finding the figures.
Right.
But they don't understand the nuance of what you're getting, what you're buying into.
Right.
Somebody came to me and they said, oh, my pundit told me that I should have a Garbhadana Samskara on Ardra.
Right.
I was like, do you know what Ardra is? Like, that means the crier, the howler. Like, it's ruled over by Rudra, the angry form of Lord Shiva.
Yeah, you want a hell?
Yeah, you want a baby that's like, like cries all the time and all moody and grows up and like is violent and stuff. Yeah, go ahead, bro, you can do it. I bet you all the math works out, but the practicality is a totally different story.
Exactly.
And this is the thing, you have to know the nuances, the stories, the symbology, the power behind it. Right. You get the results. But people, they just become slavish to like, oh, you know, actually, this math problem. They think it's like a math problem. They're having fun solving it, but it's detached.
Most of these people who are these pundits and astrologers, they're really doing it to make money. They're really doing it as a profession. And as I understand it in the Atharva Veda, where these sciences are related, there's a curse that people should not use these for making money, that they should use this for service of mankind.
Right.
And that people will give money because they have to give some donation, they have to give something, because you got something, you give something, that type of thing. But the idea is that it's not a business. And a lot of these people are business people. And so this is when this type of advice comes through, because they really don't understand what they're doing. Because when you have the wrong reason to do something, you're not going to understand.
Well, yeah, what it is a lot of times they don't really care what's the result. No. They just want to give somebody something.
Yeah, and they get nice money back.
And they get some nice money back from it. You know, just the quickest thing possible.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, like, I try and tell people this, and I'm going to be teaching people astrology. And like, that's the number one thing is you got to think about the person.
Right.
You want to be person centric.
Exactly.
Like, what's the results of what you're going to tell people? Like, have a conscience.
Right.
You know what I mean? Have a conscience to be conscious.
Yes.
You know,
and understand that they are conscious beings.
Yeah.
And where is their consciousness, and help them raise their consciousness.
Right. Exactly.
To the highest level of consciousness. That's the idea. Wonderful. That's very good. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for asking.